Hello, viewers and listeners and learners. Welcome to this interesting channel TV that is a theater. My name is Chiku Ghaimo. I'm here to share with you in English orientation course. Let us start with the lesson of today, different professions. The major topic is the world of work, and the different profession is a subtopic. Now, before starting discussing what is found in these different professions, let us remind ourselves on the concept of work, because professions is related to work. If you cannot be a profession if you are not working. So what is work? Work here, we are referring to any activity that involves mental and physical effort in order to achieve a desired goal or a desired result. So, by saying this, we can try to define a profession so that we can see how it is related to the work. Here we are talking of work. For example, of a person who is working can be a doctor. A doctor is a worker in a healthy department, in a service department. He's dealing with curing people's diseases. Now, let us relate the concept of profession with work. We can take an example. Somebody who is being called as a profession in a different, in a certain field, is the one who has undergone special training and or sometimes having particular skills and involve this profession involves high level of education. Profession include special training or particular skills that involve high level of education. An example, you can take an example of a journalist or journalism as a field. Those people who are working in this field, they sometimes specialize in different aspects. We can have a journalist specialized in news reporting, while others being specialized in news writing. All these are termed as a journalist. Have you discovered the difference? Now, by saying so, we can say that it's such effort that is being made in order to make that person be able to do something with efficiency. Another example, can take an example of a doctor. We all know a doctor who is dealing with curing people's diseases, but a doctor can specialize in different aspects. For example, we have a doctor being specialized in dealing with heart diseases. A doctor being specializing or working on dealing with heart diseases. We can say that this doctor has a specialist in heart disease, or we can give him a name as a cardiologist. A cardiologist is a doctor. It's different from other doctor because she or he has specialized in heart diseases or heart problems. So, when you hear a name, a cardiologist, this is a special doctor dealing with curing or treating people with heart problem. Now, dear viewers, do you get the concept of specialist? That is the efforts that is made in order to make somebody being able to do things in an efficient way. Another field is a teacher, as I'm doing here. I'm teaching. But we have teachers specialized in different fields. For example, as a teacher, you can specialize in teaching special education. We have those students having learning disabilities. For example, they have ear impairment, eye impairment. We have those blind. So there are special teachers who are dealing with these students. So the concept of the concept of professions can be understood as I have given you with the examples. So even teachers, we have professions, different professions being analyzed, as I have said earlier. Dear viewers, let us now give more information on this teaching, or we can give more information on different fields or in different works. For example, here we can take an example of a field or of a job or of a sector called engineering. So how can you say something concerning engineering as a field? We can say that engineering is a boring work. It is a work, but it's somehow boring. Maybe as an engineer, you don't feel much comfortable when you are doing your work. We can say that the information that is given to that field. We can say that in engineering is boring. So the word boring add more information to that field. It's according to your perception. Another example is teaching. Here I can say that teaching is an interesting work. That means I feel comfortable when teaching. I feel happy when teaching. So you can term it as an interesting work. Dear learners, this information I'm providing to you after the field or a particular field being mentioned, they are referred to as adjectives. So if you give more information to a particular, maybe a person, a particular field, a particular place, we can say that is an adjective. Giving more information to something. As I have said, to those fields, there is engineering as a field, but I said that it is boring. That means I could be adding more information to that field. I can say maybe teaching is interesting. It is my perception that whenever I teach, I feel much comfortable. Dear viewers, another profession that I'm talking about is about driving. For drivers, they might say maybe driving is a stressful work. That means you don't feel comfortable. You are full of stress. You are always thinking of a lot of things while doing the work. So we can say that driving is a stressful work. That is according to my opinion. And by saying so, I could be adding more information to that field. Dear viewers, how about journalism? Is it an interesting work? Or is it, how can you say about journalism? To myself, according to my perception, I can say that journalism is a well-paid job. That means if you are employed as a journalist, you'll be given a high amount of salary. That is according to my perception. So saying that journalism is a well-paid job or a well-paid work, that means I'm adding more information to that field. That is an adjective. Dear viewers, do you get the concept of an adjective? It is given to a noun. Anything being given more information to elaborate it more, we can say that it is an adjective. Another field here, we can talk of on accountants. Those people who are working in banks, how do they feel? What is your perception, towards this kind of work? We can say that, accountants is a badly paid job, or it's the most confusing job, or it's the most, interesting job. It is upon to you to decide. It is your perception to say whether it is good, whether it is bad, and whatever. So the concept here is to you to add more information to that particular job. To myself or to my opinion, I can say that accountants is the most well-paid job. It's the most well-paid job. But somebody can say that it is the most stressful job. It's according to perception of a person. Or can say that it is the most dangerous job because sometimes you can get lost and forced to pay back the money. In case you get lost, you can be forced by your employer to pay back the money. So some of the people do hate this job. So you can say that accountants is the most stressful job. It's the most dangerous job. And another thing, we can talk about medicine. By medicine here, dear viewers, we are talking of those doctors, we are talking of the nurses. They provide healthy services. What is your perception, regarding this field? To myself, I can say that medicine is is a satisfying work. Medicine is a satisfying work. That means when I work as a doctor, I feel very much comfortable. Maybe the salary I get, it is enough for me. That's why I say it's the satisfying work. All of you say satisfying work. That means whenever you are paid the money, you feel satisfactory. Okay, now it's time for you to have an activity. You are supposed now, having got the concept of a profession, with the adjective or more information about those profession, or more details given to those profession according to the perception of a person, dear viewers here, you are supposed to compare this. You are supposed now to compare this field with others. Here, for example, we can talk of an engineer. Engineering, the field is engineering. Those people who are dealing with constructions of bridges, houses, big buildings, we can call them engineer. What is your feeling about this work? Can you compare your perception with another work? You can say this way: engineering is more boring than military. Engineering is more boring than military. Military here, dear viewers, we are talking of those police officers. We are talking of the soldiers. They fall under one category, under one field of military. They provide military services. Now, try to compare engineering, those constructing bridges, buildings, and those working with the army. How do you compare them? How do you feel? What's your perception on these two fields? I can say that engineering is more boring work than military. So I'm comparing two things here. Here, this way is engineering, while the other side is military. So I can say that there are two things, military and engineering. So I can say that engineering is more boring than military. This means that when you say it's more boring than, that means engineering is boring, the same applies, military is boring. But which bores much? So we can say that engineering is boring. That means it is the extent of boring to engineering is high than that one of a military. All of you say engineering is boring than military. That means you will be comparing to a field here. Another example, dear viewers, teaching is the most interesting work. First of all, you can say that teaching is interesting work. That means I feel comfortable when I teach. When I teach, I feel comfortable. So it is an interesting work. So, when I feel that, or according to my perception, I believe that teaching is, there is no work that is interesting comparing to teaching. That means, that's why I say teaching is the most interesting. You might have other sectors, other fields that are interesting to you, but to me, teaching is the most interesting work. Here, we are calling it, a superlative degree of comparing things. If you compare one thing, here I'm talking of teaching is one thing. I'm comparing teaching as one field with the rest, or with other, with all fields, other fields in the world. So that's why I say teaching is the most interesting. No other field that is interesting like teaching. So in comparing these adjectives, we have 2 degrees here. We have the comparative degree, where there are 2 things, engineering and military. But there is a superlative degree where I'll be comparing, I'll be talking of one thing being the most than other thing. So another question, another example here is about, military. What is the opinion about military, dear viewers? What is your opinion about military? Is military an interesting work? Is military a boring work? Is military, a well-paid work? Now, to my opinion, I can say that military is more dangerous than driving. Military, say after me, military is more boring than driving. There are 2 fields here, dear viewers. I'm talking of military, here police officers and soldiers. And the other one is driving. Driver, there is a soldier here and a driver. There are 2 fields here. Now, when I compare 2 fields here, or 2 things, I can use a comparative degree. And it is supported with than. The sentence you may say like this: military is more dangerous than driving. This means that military is dangerous. And also, driving is dangerous. So which one is more dangerous? So if you want to give more information, if you want to give your perception on which one is, has a high extent, you can use the comparative degree. So we can say that military is more dangerous than driving. That is comparative degree, dear viewers. Another example, here I'm talking over catering. Do you remember what is catering is? Catering here, we are talking of these people who are preparing food in hotels, in restaurants. Those people, they offer this catering service. Now, how do you feel about these people? What is your opinion on this work? How can you compare catering with banking? Those who are working in banking, or can say accounting, how can you compare this field? So we can simply say that catering is easier. Catering is easier than banking. So a person who is cooking food feels that the work is easy compared to that person who is working in bank. He can feel, or she can feel, the work being very tiresome or very hard. So in comparing this one, or it's not necessarily for the people who are working in bank to feel it, maybe they can refer to it as easy. But which one is more easy than the other? To my opinion, I can say that catering is easier. Catering is easier than banking. This means that catering is easy and banking is easy. But which one is easier than the other? To myself, I can say that catering is easier. Is easier. There is a difference here. Catering is easier than banking. So all these 2 fields are easy. But which one is more, has high extent? We can talk of banking. Having said so, dear viewers, now let me assign you with one task. Go and ask your friend, your neighbors, your relatives, and others about their professions. Where do they work? And ask them how do they feel on their work. And after that, you are going to write 5 sentences with the 5 fields comparing, 5 fields. You have to compare this in terms of comparative degree and in terms of superlative degree. You can take as an example, as I have said, this one is the most when you are comparing one thing with the rest. You can say this one is the most. This is the most beautiful building. This is the best building than other. When you say the best, that means others are good, but when comparing in terms of the extent, this one seems to be high. So superlative degree, I'm repeating, I'm insisting this point. Superlative degree is when one aspect being compared with the rest. You can say that this one is the best. And we can use this best, easiest. But for the case of comparative degree, here we'll be talking of 2 things. And we use the word more. This one is more this. This one is more than this one. Having said so, remember to go, when you go at home with your friend, you can try to find the other field and comparing them in terms of comparative and superlative degree according to your perception. By saying so, this marks the end of my lesson. You were with me, Madam Ghaimo. Don't forget to subscribe this channel, Eteta TV. Welcome again. Thank you.